All right, welcome back. Now we're going to actually set up the camera on the tripod, okay? Am I going to have to do some heavy lifting? Well, maybe a little heavy lifting, but don't worry, you'll be all right. Your beak can take it, okay? I don't know about this. Why do I have to do all the hard work? Just, look, I've done this for years, okay? How many times have you done this? A few. All right, well, point proven, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do, Cosmo. I need you to go get the camera, okay? Well, you said, just get the camera. It's not that heavy, okay? If our students can do it, you can do it. All right. There you go. Okay, good job, Cosmo. Now, you can take a break if you want to. Oh, thank you so much. All right, just go, I don't know, go run around over there. All right. Now, the way you attach the camera, it basically wedges in. There's a part on the top here that's going to wedge into the front, and there's a little notch here that's going to wedge into a knob here. And you take it again from the back, line it up, and push it till it clicks. Okay? Make sure it does click. And again, make sure these are locked down so that it doesn't tilt and fall over. Now when you're done, to get the camera off, you basically just push this out and slide it back. Okay? Now, sometimes when you're taking the camera off, there's a metal piece, a little bit of Cosmo stayed with us. There's a little metal piece that pops up in the middle here, okay? If that's the case, if you just flick this out and back, make sure it goes over to the side, okay? And that should fix the problem. If not, you won't be able to put the tripod back on. And if you're having problems putting, the camera back on, if you're having problems putting the camera on, look to make sure if that metal piece is actually popped out. And again, if it is, just kind of push this out and back and it should snap back into place, okay? Now, put this back on. Okay, Cosmo, Cosmo, come, what's wrong with you? Cosmo, get up, man. Oh, gosh, it's so hard to find good help these days. Come on, we got work to do. Oh, sorry, I was taking a little nap. Oh, hi, sorry. You're working me to death, you know that. It's gonna be all right, okay? Just one step at a time, okay? All right, here we go. All right, now, Cosmo's going to use his beak and point out the different parts of the lens. We're going to work from the front to back, okay? The first part is the focus, this focus ring here. Now, you should be set to manual focus. There's a switch here that goes from auto to manual. You want to make sure it's set to manual because you really want to have control. You don't want, if something moves in your shot, you don't want it to go in and out of focus by itself. The camera will adjust and it looks really bad and just unprofessional. Yeah, kind of like you. Okay, yeah, anyway. This is the focus ring. And what you want to do with all your shots to make sure you have something really good and in focus is to zoom all the way in and then focus and then zoom out to the shot you want, okay? So like right now, things appear in focus, okay? I would think things appear in focus. But if Scott zooms in to Cosmo here to set his shot, things are not apparently in focus, but he's going to go ahead and focus anyway, or focus now, and then zoom out to the shot we were on. Again, a lot clearer, a lot better, but when you're on a long shot or a wider shot, sometimes it appears in focus, but when you zoom in, you'll know that's not the case. Okay, so just pay special attention to that. Now, behind there are two ways to zoom with this camera. You have this manual zoom ring, and also on this side of the camera, you have servo or automatic or power zoom, okay? That's what you'll use most of the time, by the way, is this. But you'll also use this sometimes if you want to. The servo zoom is a lot steadier. And by the way, speaking of zooms and pans, you want to limit that as much as possible. Don't do a lot of moves unless it's absolutely necessary, because if not, what do you think will happen, Cosmo? Right, it'll make me sick. Yeah, it could make you sick as far as watching it because there's too many movements in the shot or in the production. Now, as far as this manual zoom, okay, here's how you could use this. Let's say that Cosmo, and Scott's going to get ready to zoom here with the manual zoom to show just how fast it is, okay? Cosmo just found out he's pregnant. Ah! Okay, so you can zoom in and then zoom out real fast and have that kind of effect. Now, it's not nearly as steady as that power zoom, as you can see. But if you want that kind of quick zoom effect, that's how you would accomplish that. But most of the time, you'll be using the power zoom, which, by the way, Cosmo, I'm going to use your beak to demonstrate this. When you're holding this off the shoulder, you want to put your hand in that hand grip so you have a place for the record on this side. Your record button is located on this side. There is a button on top, but that's a photo button. This is your record button on this side. You want to put your hand in there. Don't put your hand up here. It's not nearly as steady, okay? Okay, put your hand down here in the hand grip when you're holding it off the shoulder. And even on the tripod, you want to grip it like this so you have control, okay? Now, way behind in the back here is another ring, a third ring, called the iris ring. Point it out, Cosmo. Right here. Okay. Now, that ring basically controls how much light is brought into the camera, okay? Sometimes you may get a camera and all of a sudden the footage is maybe really dark or maybe it looks kind of bright. Well, it's because maybe the iris was set to a different level depending on the lighting situation, okay? Now, Scott, go ahead and adjust the iris and show us what happens as you move that ring, okay? There's two things that's happening. One of them you can see, one of them you can't. One of them is obviously it's getting either brighter or darker. But in the viewfinder here, you're also seeing a number with a letter F in front of it. That's called an f-stop number. The smaller the number, the larger the opening of the aperture. The aperture is what lets light into the camera. And the larger the number, the smaller the aperture is. Usually f2.4, 2.8 is where you probably are for normal lighting operations. Now, there's another reason why your footage could look dark, or you get the camera and you say, boy, everything looks dark in here. How do I adjust this? Well, you could be adjusting the iris and say, well, that doesn't do enough. So it could be that the ND filter has been turned on, okay? So I'll go ahead and turn on the ND filter and you'll see what it does. There's two, there's 1 and 2. And basically it darkens the shot, but it's for use outside. If you're outside in the bright sunlight, you may see a little thing in the viewfinder that says ND1 or ND2. That's telling you to put on the filter so that it's not, your video is not overexposed. So you can put on either filter 1 or filter 2, slide that reel. Now again, I would check that first when you get the camera, just in case somebody else has done that, okay? And make sure if you're shooting inside, it should be off. It's really only used for outside or very bright situations, okay? Now, a couple other basic things that you need to know. Some people have asked about the power button, located right here, okay? Turn that on, okay? And as I said, the record button's on the other side there. Now, before we go to the main camera body, there is one little more piece that's underneath here, and that's white balance. And basically, to white balance the camera, you'll zoom all the way in on the white object under the lights, okay? Now, there are some lights on here. You want to have your person holding the white piece of paper in front of these lights. If you white balance, like if you just put a piece of paper on the ground and it's dark over there, that's a different lighting situation. So it's not going to, the colors aren't going to show up the same. They're going to show up off. So to white balance, you basically zoom in and then you flick this little switch up. It will blink, let it go. When it's solid, that means you're white balanced, okay? And nice thing about this camera, you have the black and white, but you also have a color viewfinder, so you can also look and see and make sure that everything looks okay. All right, and that's basically the main part of the lens.